What is up everyone, Movie Worm back again with another review, and this is going to be for the 2022 film RRR, and this is directed by S.S. Rajamouli and stars N.T. Ramo Rao Jr. and Ram Charan. I hope I'm pronouncing them correctly. This tells the story of a young girl kidnapped from a small village, and a guy called Beam sets out to get her back. Unbeknownst to him, an exceptionally skilled police officer is out to stop that from happening. Now, I usually start all of my reviews with the positives, but on this occasion, I'm just going to start with the negatives. So here goes. Okay, now that's out the way, let's talk about how amazing RRR is. Look, I love movies, I always have, and I always will, but sometimes you are just given that little bit of a nudge or a reminder of why you love them so much, and this was definitely the case with RRR. If you're in a little bit of a lull when it comes to watching film, or you've watched so many mediocre or average films in a run and you're kind of thinking, oh, is anything good coming out? Just watch this movie, man, and that flame will be reignited. Look, it's very hard to think where to start with this review because there is so many things to talk about with RRR, but I'm just going to go off here and say that this is a film that has absolutely everything. 1 minute I'm watching a serious piece of story that is given to me, and then the next minute I'm watching a breathtaking action scene that has to be seen to be believed, and then I'll be watching some funny dialogue, and then a montage will happen that Sylvester Stallone would be proud of, and then I'm back to some action scenes, and then a fucking dance-off will happen, and I'm just like, wow, my brain is about to explode here. This film just had so much in it and so much to give. You are constantly just fed brilliance in this film, and there is a mishmash of genres. There's just so much going on, but nothing is ever shoehorned in for the sake of it. Nothing is tacked on. Every single piece of film or everything you see on screen is there for a reason, and it makes the story come together so well. Everything on screen is important. Everything matters. And that's what I loved about it. It's just such of a well-constructed film. It builds up a spectacle of movie magic from beginning to end. And I was just all on board for it. And there's even a few twists and turns along the way as well. Look, I have a video planned at the end of the year for my top 10 2022 movie moments. And I'm just keeping that video to one scene per film. But if I wasn't, I honestly believe that RRR would take up easily 6 or 7 of them spots. Look, I could gush all day about some of the moments in this film, but I want to try and keep it a little bit spoiler-free because I know there's some people out there who haven't seen this. I was speaking about it on my social media the other day and people were asking me about the movie and stuff. But there's this one scene in the film that is a dance scene, and I could not take my eyes off it for 1 second. I was grinning from ear to ear. I loved every single second of this scene. And it's not just the best scene in the film, it's one of the best scenes of all time in movie history. But along with that, I've got to say that this film just has some of the best action scenes or action set pieces that I have ever seen in my life. Rajamouli just treats the camera like a magic wand. It's absolutely brilliant what he's put together here. It's an absolute masterclass in filmmaking. And every time one of these scenes happened, you knew it was coming and you were just so ready. And at the end of each one of these action scenes, I was just like, wow, this film is just getting better and better. But also, I've just got to mention the soundtrack here, which elevate these scenes. Now you're just watching stuff happen on screen and then bam, this amazing, incredible soundtrack just hits at all the perfect moments. I mean, you just presses play at the right time. It kicks in and just elevates everything around the movie. I've been listening to this soundtrack all week. Honestly, when this music kicks in, when something great is happening on screen, I'm not joking, it's like a fucking out-of-body experience. I was also a little bit surprised with the violence here because this is such a fun movie with a really entertaining tone throughout. But when some of these violent scenes happen, they just fucking go for it. I mean, this film doesn't do anything half-assed. If it's going to do something, it goes for it. And even though there's not a lot of violent scenes, when they happen, you're like, Jesus. So, it's just it just gets everything right. Everything. But what is all this without a great story or some great characters? Well, fear not, because the two main protagonists in this film are just two guys you fully get invested in. I mean, especially when they're together on screen, it's movie magic. But even though you don't quite know their full destinations or the full story behind them at times, what's going to end up happening to them, you just can't help fall in love with these two cool ass motherfuckers. And that's another thing, that all these elements come together to make the story work for what it is. I mean, it's not the most complicated story out there. It's a very simple one, actually. But it's everything that happens around it that latches it all together. Like I mentioned before, it's a very well constructed film. But what put me off about this film more than anything was the 3-hour runtime. It's over 3 hours, really. And it's not that I don't like long films. I just had to find the right time to sit down and watch it. And I didn't want it to end. I honestly got to the end and I was like, wow, I'm gutted this movie is finished. It absolutely flew by. So if you're having any reservations about the runtime, fear not, because it is just a delight from start to finish. You are never bored. You just love every single second of these 187 minutes we have here. I'm just going to go ahead and rate this movie now. And this is a first for the channel here. I'm very excited to say this. I'm going to give RRR a 10 out of 10. Wow, that feels good to say that. It's not a score I give out lightly, but honestly, I just could not see any negatives with this movie whatsoever. The director, Rajamouli, just his love for cinema is just poured right into this. You can just see it a mile off. It will remind you of why you love movies. And I just recommend it to everyone. Everyone. Even if you don't end up liking this film, you haven't seen anything like this before, trust me. Film of the year so far. And I doubt anything will beat it. Okay, so at the end of these reviews, I always like to leave a little fun fact. Now, a fun fact for RRR is this was actually a working title because of the director and the two main stars' names that had the letter R in. And then the director just decided to go with that title. And you know what? I kind of like it. Okay, guys, hope you all enjoyed this review. I know this is very late in the year for this movie. It came out a few months ago now, but it would be a crime if I didn't talk about this film. I have to. And I really, if this review makes one person watch the movie and they enjoy it, then it's job done. So if you want to check out more 2022 movie reviews or movies from last year, they will all be down below in the description. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't. It will really help me out. Thanks so much, guys. Take it all easy. Go watch RRR, and I'll see you all in the next video. Cheers.